So I am here with two dear friends that are both at Berry College, and one is director of the GATE Scholarship, and one is director of the Bonner Foundation Scholarship. Each of them will correct me if I did not utilize these correct terms. I have had the opportunity to meet each of these ladies and get to know them and their zone of genius and their brilliance and the way that they help students on their path to earning a debt-free degree is phenomenal. And surreptitiously, sort of a divine appointment, I was able to record this video with both of them. And so I am delighted. I think the synergy of what you two do there at Berry College is amazing. And for those of you that are watching and you're thinking, well, my school doesn't offer Bonner, just be thinking about ways that you could look for similar programs, similar signature programs. So with that, I'm going to let Laurie, you introduce yourself really just, sort of an overview, and then Shakarah, you go, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Okay, absolutely. I'm Laurie Chandler. I'm the director of the Center for Community Engagement at Berry. I have been a part of the Bonner Scholars Program Network since I was an undergraduate. The program started here on our campus in 1991. And we are still going strong. I came back to work in 1997, and this is my 27th year with the program, and have had a wonderful opportunity to work with students who have a heart for community engagement.
Love, 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 love. So Bonner is under the umbrella of community engagement. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Shakarah.
All right. My name is Shakarah Cummings, and I'm the scholarship coordinator of student affairs at Berry. And the Gate of Opportunity Scholarship is one of the programs that I work with. I am a Berry alum. I attended from 2012 to 2016. Was a marketing major, minored in Spanish, played softball at Berry all 4 years. So I bleed Berry blue. But today is actually my 5-year anniversary of coming back and working at Berry. So super excited about that. I love working with the scholarship students here at Berry, and the Gate of Opportunity program is a scholarship that allows for students to be able to go to a private liberal arts institution, graduating from there with little to no debt.
Excellent, 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 excellent. So I'm just curious, do you two have students in common? Are there students who are both GATE scholars and Bonner Foundation? Is it, and please correct my usage, is it GATE scholar and Bonner Foundation scholar?
We don't use the word foundation, so we just say Bonner scholar.
Okay, Bonner scholar and GATE scholar. Okay, great.
Correct.
So do y'all have students in common?
Well, at Berry, generally, we do not have students who overlap in our signature scholarship programs. So in addition to GATE and Bonner, there are other scholarship programs that provide substantial financial support for students. So we coordinate the recruitment, application, and selection processes of signature scholarship programs. But we try to allow the most students as possible to be able to benefit. So that is the reason we don't stack those programs.
Excellent. Excellent. That's good to know. That's good to know. So in each of your programs, Shakarah, I'll let you start first. In each of your programs, is there a thread of a debt-free degree running through the program?
Can you explain that a little bit?
Like with the GATE scholars, is the intent to graduate fully debt-free, kind of debt-free? We kind of talk about it, but it's okay if you take $50,000 in loans. Like what is the focus? And then I'll ask Laurie the same question.
Okay, great question. So the way in which GATE works financially, it kind of depends on a student's a financial situation, so we utilize the FAFSA. So it just kind of depends on what their EFC is, the expected family contribution. So that's how it is right now, but the FAFSA is actually changing soon, so that will look a little bit different. But historically, the way that GATE works is a student is eligible if their EFC is $20,000 and below, less than $20,000,
Okay.
and they're responsible for paying half of their EFC, and then the rest is covered by a donor, Berry College, and then 80% of their work earnings for their job on campus. So it just kind of depends on the student's financial situation. If they have like zero EFC, then they're not, coming out of pocket at all, or might not have to take out loans at all. But for students that, if their EFC falls in like, a mid-range, they might have to take out some loans. But if students do have to take out loans through the program, it's very minimal.
Okay. Excellent.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Yes, that was so helpful. So helpful. And I know that my community understands EFC because we talk about that all the time. So that's great, Shakarah. Thank you. Laurie, what about for your program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Bonner Scholars Program nationally is a college access program, and it's designed to allow students not to incur no expense with school, but to limit that as much as possible. So up until this point, like the GATE program, Bonner has recruited with the idea of a $15,000 or less EFC. So trying to target those students who are in the highest need bracket. Students do come to the table with their EFC, and our packaging formula from the National Foundation allows for us to only offer subsidized loans up to the maximum amount each year. So if a student needs the loans and chooses to, they can tap into those government subsidized loans. And over the course of the 4 years, at this point, that's less than $20,000. I do a report every year. It seems that our students are staying below that $20,000 EFC, loan cap, and some of them leave with no loans at all. So it really, again, like Shakarah's program, depends on the student's financial situation. But our goal is to make the education accessible to the student and based on what they have and can bring to the table.
Yes, that's outstanding. That's outstanding. And a lot of people think because of my work and some of the verbiage that I use that I'm against student loans. It's not that I'm against student loans. I'm against people being saddled with 6 figures in loans. I'm against the average $75,000 in student loan debt. And so helping our students maximize whatever they have at their disposal is so incredibly important. And for students who don't meet those EFC requirements that you all are talking about, Berry can be a more difficult lift. And so it's great that there are opportunities and entry points into that. And so each of you have some sort of work requirement or some sort of service requirement or some sort of, the student has what I call skin in the game somehow. So Laurie, I'll start with you and then we'll move to Shakarah. Can you talk about if a student is, well, let's back up. The application process, do they apply to be both Bonner and GATE? And then you and Shakarah kind of work together and go, let's do Bonner, let's do GATE. How does that work?
Right. Well, we are moving in the direction you just described.
Okay.
We've had several iterations, but in general, through our applicant portal, students can apply for these signature scholarship programs. They can self-select which programs they seem to identify most with, but we have a shared set of questions. We also ask for a copy of their most current resume. So that gives us some context for the activities they may be involved in. And then this spring, we're going to launch, Shakarah has done this with some other programs on campus, but I'm coming into the fold. we're going to launch some shared interview processes as well. So
Okay.
students do an online written application, and then we use student readers to help us narrow down a candidate pool to interview. And then those students have the opportunity for a virtual online interview. Generally, it includes a student representative and what I like to call a grown-up. It might be a faculty or staff member from campus, or an alumni, a community member, someone who understands the importance of making good selections for not only the institution, but for those students, and who has a good grasp on what all the opportunities are, so that we want those students to interview us as much as we're interviewing them.
Yes.
And so they make sure that it's a good fit for them.
Excellent. Shakarah, what would you add anything to your process?
I don't think so. I feel like she hit the nail on the head with that. You know, we encourage the students to apply. Now they'll apply to Berry, and then they'll apply to the scholarships separately. But I think the really great thing about the way we're moving with our process is that a student may apply for GATE, and maybe they might self-select themselves for GATE, but as we navigate through the selection process, we may see that they might be a better fit for Bonner. And so when they interview, we're all able to see the students, and we might recommend that, you know, they get selected for Bonner versus GATE. So even though they may self-select themselves for one scholarship, they're going to be basically interviewing for 3 when they navigate through that process with us.
Beautiful. And each one of you, I mean, the way that I met you is through my dear friend Haley, who is the Chief Diversity and Belonging Officer. And what better way to say to a new incoming student that you belong here than to say, hey, we've met you. You've self-selected for scholarship A. We're delighted you're interested in that. And also, based on what we've gathered information about you, we really feel like this other program is probably an even better fit, that for whatever reason you didn't self-select, but also we want you to have the best path possible. And what message does that send to that student, to that student's family? I mean, that's such an amazing way of creating belongingness before they ever set foot on your campus. Kudos.
Yeah. Thank you.
Outstanding. Okay, so I do want to come back. Well, let me ask this now before we get to the work requirement. I'm curious if you could either share, each of you could share either something on a resume that you love to see, or something on a resume that you don't like to see, including the absence of something, if that makes sense. So is there something that somebody actually writes on a resume that you're like, I don't know about that? Or is there something glaring? And then what do you love to see on a resume? And either one of you can, whichever one wants to go first.
Shakarah?
Okay, I'll start. I'll say there's not necessarily a thing on a resume that I would say like, oh, I don't like to see. For me, it's like, the more the better. What I don't like is if someone leaves something out, you know. I feel like the more information that we have, the more leverage that we have to be able to say yes. That gives us more reasons to say yes. And so specifically for GATE, because it is a developmental work-based scholarship, we like to see that students have previous work experience, not even just work experience, but also just involvement inside of school, outside of school. We like to see that a student has the ability to juggle multiple things. A student may not have had a job prior to, you know, coming to college while they were in high school, but we also like to see other things that they've been involved in or have done. It may be a student that they might not have the chance to work and have a part-time job, but maybe they're the oldest of several siblings, and so we would like to see that too. So if they're helping their parents out at home by like watching their siblings, or, you know, taking care of them and taking them to school or cooking for them at home, like we like to see those things too, because it lets us know that, you know, this student works hard and they're able to juggle multiple things.
That's a great, great, great point. Laurie, what would you add?
Like I said, we're a lot alike in a lot of ways. I think that we are a community engaged scholarship. In the early 90s when it was created, a lot was happening in higher ed around volunteerism and in community engagement. And so it was an opportunity for the Bonner Foundation to identify and recognize students who had a heart for community work.
Mhm.
We were already rewarding students, you know, based on their academic ability or their athletic ability or music or theater, but maybe this was something that they were doing that they weren't being recognized for. So we do look for that in our application, but like Shakarah, I think that we are looking at it in a broad context. Is that service to school? Is that service through your faith community?
Mhm.
As she described, service to your family.
Mhm.
And even that piece on service to your family might be, as Shakarah mentioned, employment. You know, are you making money to support your own personal lifestyle as a student
Mhm.
or to help contribute to family expenses? So when we look at what we call engagement, I look at it in a broad context because not everybody has the same opportunities based on their situation, their time, and their resources. So we try to be as inclusive as possible through that process.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And also the more information, the better. So not
Absolutely.
just, oh, well, this is what they're looking for, so I won't put that down. I mean, that's really empowering.
Right.
So
Right.
I'll finally get to that question I asked. So Laurie, we'll start with you. What is the students, if a student is accepted, what is their responsibility and what does that look like? Is it per semester, per year, before they graduate? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the students in the Bonner Scholars Program are doing 140 hours of community engaged work. We don't call it volunteerism because they are being compensated through their scholarship. And so we also think that elevates their work in the community to a place of leadership and capacity building for their organizations. But our students are working, we have over 30 community partners, generally nonprofit organizations, government agencies, and Title I public schools, where our students commit almost like to an internship for a semester. And they set goals with their organization that are mutually beneficial, not for the organization and they're meeting their mission, but also for students' growth and development. The first year in the program, this work is in lieu of on-campus employment. But as an upperclassman, a student can also add Barry's LifeWorks program to their portfolio and have jobs on campus. I try to work with students individually to make sure that even their community work is playing into their strengths, their passions, or their future career goals. In addition to the hours, our students are meeting in cohort-based groups about once a week.
Okay.
They'll meet with their class the first week of the month, and that's more of a skills development training. All of these are peer-led, by the way. So,
oh, wow.
So we really want students to have ownership of their program. The second week of the month, they meet around a community issue that they have identified, and they spend a year researching, serving, and working on advocacy around those topics. And then the third week of the month, they do what they call reflection meetings, and it's this marriage of fun activities and student passions with some guided reflection around how those things intersect with the students' daily life, their community experiences, and then what we call the Bonner Common Commitments. And those are civic engagement, community building, diversity, international perspective, spiritual exploration, social justice, and wellness. And so It really is, you know, it's a scholarship program, but in a larger context, it's a personal and professional development experience as well.
Outstanding, outstanding. And so, Laurie, just one quick follow-up question. So the students, it's 140 hours per semester. So if it's, you know, if you're looking at around 14 weeks in a semester, it's about 10 hours a week ish. Can
Correct.
they stay at the same placement for the year or for all 4 years or?
Yes. Yeah. So as an incoming freshman, we try to place students in a variety of organizations, usually about 5 that have a pretty strong infrastructure and a opportunity for them to work together as a team. But then I like to say the second semester of school, they become a free agent. And they can choose. And so many of our students, once they find their niche, it might be that first semester, it might not be till their junior year, but once they find their place, they usually lock it in and stay. And what we see is them moving into greater leadership roles within those organizations. Some of our nonprofit partners have chosen to, you know, unofficially make them student supervisors of other students. And so I find that just like in our on-campus work program, our Bonner students see their community leadership as strong mentors for them. In fact, they often know more about what's going on in the students' lives than even I do. So they and the community folks have embraced that role over the years. Some of them will say, especially females, they're like, you know, I just can't help but like be their mom. And I was like, well, they need that while they're at school as well. It's been a really beautiful experience to watch community partners invite our students into learning about this place that they live. They feel a deep sense of connection, not only with the campus cohort of scholars, but also with individual organizations and community members they've met along the way.
Right. And, you know, there's so many organizations. I spent 35 years in and around higher ed, and there's so many schools that do not have what we call that town and gown partnership, and how beautiful it is that you have that. So before I bring Shakarah in for GATE scholars, one other question, Laurie, do students have to apply for Bonner every year, or once they are accepted, they're accepted the entire time they're at Berry? What does that look like?
Right. So Bonner is a 4-year scholarship model. We are an endowed program at Berry, so we have 20 available slots each year.
Okay.
If for some reason a student chooses to no longer be at Berry College or in our program for some reason, we do have some slots available for what we call new upperclassmen to join our cohort. But generally, we are recruiting in that incoming freshman year for those spots. So at any given point, we should have 80 scholars on our roster.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes. And then that's one of the things I talk to my students about, is looking at, you know, for the ones that are renewable. And, you know, I've had so many students who had a renewable scholarship, but they didn't follow the process and keep up with the deadlines. And so then it's like, oh, well, that money went away. Well, yes. I mean, because there are things that you need to put in place. And so Bonner put that in place. And that's a gift, I think, both to Bonner, to you, Laurie, to Berry, to the community, to the student. Like, that's what, you know, we talk about as a win-win-win-win-win all the way around. So delightful. Thank you, Laurie, so much. So Shakarah, I'm going to ask you to, you know, touch on some of these same things. What does that look like? Does a student need to apply every year? And what is the student's responsibility?
Yes, absolutely. So the student it's kind of the same as Laurie said. So when they apply and they get selected as a GATE scholar, it is a 4-year partnership, 4-year program. So they'll receive it all 4 years. And in order to keep that scholarship, they will have to complete the FAFSA each and every year, and also just maintain at least a 2.0 GPA, which is the requirement for every student across the board at Berry to keep their financial aid and be in good academic standing as well. In regards to requirements, so this is like I mentioned earlier, a developmental and work-based scholarship program. So our scholars are actually, they live and work on campus year-round. Now, it's not a 365-day commitment, but they have throughout the year a certain amount of hours that they have to work. So our freshmen actually move in on campus a little bit early compared to our other new freshmen. So they get here on campus at the end of June. And so all of our scholars are required to work 40 hours a week during the summer. And then when they transition into the academic year, our freshmen are required to work 12 hours a week. And then our upperclassmen are required to work 16 hours a week. And
Excellent.
so our upperclassmen is sophomores up through seniors, and then our freshmen, they're required to work 12 hours a week. During the summer, they're not just working 40 hours a week and that's it. We have a lot of programming that we put on during the summer, and so personal and professional development is actually one of our pillars of the program. And so every other Wednesday, we have Wednesday workshops where we partner with other departments on campus, and they will they'll do like trainings and workshops for our scholars. So for example, we'll connect with our Center for Personal and Professional Development. And this past summer, they did a workshop on how to utilize LinkedIn. And they did another workshop to our scholars on resume building. So we have different programming where they can kind of develop themselves and learn new skills. And it's also another way to get those students connected with other, departments and resources on campus. We also do fun activities as well. Community is one of our pillars. And so at least once or twice a week during the summer while they're here on campus, in the evenings after work, we'll put on some fun activities. So we actually have a leadership team, a GATE leadership team, and they're actually students that are GATE scholars, but their job on campus is they're employed to, come up with the programming activities for the rest of their peers, which is really neat.
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. And one of the things that I love what you said, Shakarah, is again that whole sense of belonging, that whole sense of I have a community here, and bringing them in early and having them work so many hours on campus before their classes even start is a phenomenal way to get them fully entrenched into the college. That is absolutely beautiful. That is wonderful. Did I cut you off, Shakarah? I'm sorry. I got eager to say that.
No, it's okay. I do have a little bit more to add, and I'm glad.
Yes, I apologize.
So we do bring our freshmen in early before classes start, and in addition to them starting to work during the summer, we also require them to take COM 203, so public speaking class, so that way they can also kind of know what it's like to work and also take a class, because once the academic year starts, they're going to be working and also taking classes too. And so they will take that public speaking class once they get here during the summer and get one class under their belt. And then in addition to that, so they're required to work 40 hours a week during the summer. Freshmen 12 hours a week during the academic year, 16 hours a week for upperclassmen. And then there's a 2-week period during winter break where they're required to work 40 hours a week. But we're really flexible with that, where we know some students may have, things planned for the holidays. And if they want to go home right after, finals, they can do that. But there are different times throughout the year where they can work extra hours to make up that time that they might miss if they don't work that two-week period during winter break.
Excellent. Whew. I mean, y'all, beloveds, y'all know that DrRoz can just talk and talk and talk. So these two, I could just sit and talk with these two for the next 5 hours. And I'm going to try to, wrap this up real quick. Laurie and Shakarah, are your programs offered at other schools other than Berry College?
The Gate of Opportunity Scholarship Program is exclusive to Berry College.
Excellent.
And the Bonner Scholars Program is very broad. We are part of a national consortium of schools, and we sit under the leadership of the Bonner Foundation out of Princeton, New Jersey. So I think right now we have about 65 schools in our network. 25 of those are directly funded by the Bonner Foundation, and those are called Bonner Scholars Programs. You may run across other programs affiliated with Bonner called Bonner Leaders Programs. Those programs are using institutional dollars, as well as some of them employ the funding from the Corporation for National and Community Service through AmeriCorps to help support their students financially.
Great.
So one of the things is, I described our Bonner program, been in existence for 30 plus years, but every year we are adding Bonner Leaders Program to our network of schools. And so definitely if you're looking at a school and you see the word Bonner, do research about how their program works, because there's a lot of autonomy. There's some basic expectations, but there's a lot of autonomy at the campus level to design the program that best fits with your campus culture. So you will see that there is a strong commitment to those 7 core values that I mentioned. There is a service component and a personal and professional development component, but the way that's lived out on each campus can look very different.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the last question that came up for me is, I'm curious, after someone has graduated from your program, I'm wondering if you can see a direct tie from your program to their next thing. Like there's this a networking opportunity, or maybe your favorite recent graduate, or a great story, whatever it is. That'll be the last question for this interview. Probably won't be the last question I ask y'all ever about this, but the last for this interview, so we'll get people to watch it where it won't be 4 hours.
Okay, sounds good. I will say for the students in the Bonner Scholars Program, and really Berry students in general, I think that they come away from their educational experience with a pretty solid sense of self and what that next step looks like. So we have lots of students who have, graduated from the Bonner program and are pursuing graduate degrees, and in general can make that transition with great ease because we've prepared them academically. But also I think that these experiences, either through work and Shakarah's GATE program or through the Bonner program, have helped them sort of figure out the things they don't want to do. So they may be better equipped for the next step, because maybe they thought they wanted to be in education and they went and volunteered with kids and were like, no, can't do that. And so it helps them think about the next step before they actually get there. But we have a great success rate with graduate schools and employability post-graduation. I will say that for Bonners in particular, I feel like we talk about at Berry, we're preparing lifelong learners. I think we also are preparing lifelong citizens in our program, because many of them are choosing professional work that serves a greater purpose. They might be in public service, they may be in education, but they continue with this spirit of giving and contributing to the greater good. And so I think that's a trend that we see in Bonner. So, they might be like your financial guru, but somewhere in all of that, they still have a heart for making a difference. So if they're not doing it in their professional work, they're serving as, big brothers and through big brothers and big sisters, or some of them are working on policy and have even run for office in their local elections. So
Beautiful.
I think that it sets them up well. And I think that's true for Shakarah's program as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll answer pretty quickly here. Through the Gate of Opportunity Scholarship Program, there's so many ways in which our scholars have the opportunity to network and just meet other people. And I'll give you an example. So the way in which the scholarship is funded is through donors. So there are individuals out in the community that donate to help fund scholars to be able to attend Berry. And we every year we have like a big scholarship luncheon where we connect our scholars with their donors, so they have the opportunity to meet those people. And the donors are from all different types of different organizations and careers. And so that gives our scholars the opportunity to kind of network with them. I have a student that's a senior this year, and this past summer, she took her release hours, which students are released from Gate to either study abroad or do an internship. And she did an internship with her donor. So her donor owned a business, and they retired, but they still kind of oversee it a little bit in operations. And the student had the opportunity to be able to intern with her donor. And when she graduates, they're going to offer her a job to work there after graduation. And so there's opportunities where they get to do that. When we do our personal and professional development workshops during the summer, sometimes we bring in individuals outside of campus as well. And so that's the opportunity for scholars to be able to network, and they're getting offered internships and jobs that way. And so through the different programming, through the scholarship, they have the opportunity to network with individuals that can assist them with life after college.
Beautiful. Wow, 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 wow. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this time. I am so delighted that I was able to get each of you on here together. I think this was such a more powerful and dynamic interview. The fact that I was able to ask one and then the other, and then, folks can see how that works at Berry College, and then look at, opportunities wherever they are. And I just want to say thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Shakarah, for who you are, for the love that you put into the world, for the love that you have for students, and for being directors of these amazing programs. I appreciate y'all so very much.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anytime, Dr. Roz.
All right, beloveds, until next time, this is Pontification with two pros. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.